Hello, welcome to Chef Richard's Kitchen. I'm Chef Richard Miller. Today we're gonna make a dish that's been a favorite of mine for a long time. Back when I lived in Omaha, there was a restaurant down by the stockyards that used to serve this. It was beef brisket with a horseradish sauce, and every Saturday that was what their lunch special was going to be, that or various other things. But this is the one that I always loved. And over the years, I haven't lived in Omaha for a long time, but I still remember that dish, and I always wanted to figure out a decent way that I could make it and have it taste good, or taste like what it did there. And finally I came up with what I think is a pretty good imitation. So let's get started. What I did first is I went down to the butcher and I got me probably about a 4 pound brisket point down there, which I'm cutting in half just simply so I can fit it in a pot. Now we're going to boil it, and to boil it we need to make a brine. And the brine that I'm going to use is really simple. It starts out with 4 tablespoons, it starts out with 4 bouillon cubes. And since I'm using the better than bouillon, a teaspoon equals a bouillon cube. So that's what I've got here, is I just basically have 4 teaspoons. We're going to take that, and I've got 3 or 4 bay leaves that we're going to put in. We're going to need to put in some salt. And remember, we can go a little bit. Over with the salt, because remember, it's just the brine. And then add some pepper. Okay. Go ahead and stir this. Now what we're going to do is after the brisket is cooked, what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of cups of the brine here, and we're going to use that to make our horseradish sauce. So what I'm going to do now is I've let this come to a boil, and what I want to do is I want to get it to the point where the meat itself is going to be in about 192 to 198 degree bath somewhere. I don't want it to completely boil in there for a long period of time, and the reason for that is because the connective tissues start to dissolve or start to turn to liquid about 190 some degrees in there. And so what I want to do is I want to keep that in there, but I don't want to have the thing boil and get tough again. So I'm going to try and keep it there. And so when I put the brisket in, I'm going to let it come back up to a boil again. Then I'm going to set it down so that the temperature, will be around 190, let's say 195 degrees. All right. Our brisket's in. Now I'm just going to let it come back up to a boil, set the temperature down a little bit to a good high simmer, and then we're going to simmer it for about 2.5–3 hours. So I'll go ahead and just, at this point, I'm just going to let it come up to a boil. All right. right, our water's come to a boil. It's not a rolling boil, but I don't really want it there either. So I'm going to turn it back to temperature, and I'm going to go ahead and let it sit there on high simmer. I'm going to cover it for probably about 2.5 hours, something like that. We're going to come back, take the temperature of the meat, see how it's done. It should be up to about 190 some degrees, because really that's where, you know, we want our connective tissues to start to dissolve. And if it's up there and it's tender, well, then it's time. We're going to take it out, we're going to tin it, and we're going to make our sauce. So anyway, hang on. I'll see you in a 2.5 hours. Don't go far. All right, it's been a couple hours, and I took the temperature of the meat, and it's right up there where it should be. So at this point, we'll consider it cooked. And what I want to do now is I want to bring it out and I want to set it in this pan, and I'm going to tin it. Couple of reasons there. Number one, we want to keep it warm. Number two, you know, we don't want to let it sit out. We want it to rest a little bit. We don't want it to dry out. So let me go ahead, and I'm going to put this over on the stove. I'm not going to, it's off. I just want to set it there. And now let's go ahead and let's make the sauce. And we're going to start out with 1/2 cup of flour, mix into that a cup of water. Now there's a couple of little tricks here. Number one, and it's not a trick, it's just, you know, a little bit of advice. Number one, take your time when making your flour slurry, that you get all the lumps out of it. Because once you get it in, once we make the sauce, the lumps aren't coming out. Well, without an immersion blender or something like that. All right, now what we're going to do is we want to take and we want to put a little bit of our flour mixture in here. And I'm doing that while I whisk it. And this is kind of a tempering process. Now that that's done, we can pour this into our slurry. And we want 2 cups. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to put my horseradish in here. And then I want to take this and I want to put it on the stove, and I want to put it in a saucepan, and I want to heat it up because that's what's going to thicken it. It's good. It needs just a little more horseradish. Much better. Now, let me go ahead and put this in the saucepan, and I'm going to put it up here. And what I want to do is I want to thicken it up a little bit. Then it's going to be time. We're going to go ahead and cut the brisket, ladle on the sauce, and it's time to plate. So let me clean up here, and I'll be right back. All right. Our sauce is pretty well there. Now, one last thing. It's got a good horseradish bite. But it does seem like it needs just a little bit of salt and pepper. There. Much better. Now you notice how it now coats the spoon. So this is about the thickness we want it. So now let's go ahead . Now it's time to bring the meat back, and it's time to plate. So give me just a second to get set up. Okay, now it's ready. Let's go ahead and let's slice our brisket. And I want to slice this against the grain. All right. Okay, now let's go ahead and put a little of our horseradish sauce over the top. We'll put a little piece of parsley. And one of the things I always liked about it, with it, was some good old-fashioned air fryer fries. Why air fryer? Because remember, I'm trying to keep my cholesterol, under completely toxic limits. So, anyway, here we go. Put this under the detail camera so you can take a good look at it. And here we go. Brisket of beef with horseradish sauce. Give it a try. I hope you do. It's really good. Now, one of the things you might find is ever since barbecue, and especially competition, became popular, the price of brisket has just gone through the roof. So what you might want to do is you might want to take, and you can use chuck roast for this. I've used an eye of round roast, just anything that really you can cook until it's tender, slice it, and then put a horseradish gravy on it. So you can go ahead, and there are lots of less expensive cuts that you can do, especially if you want to just go ahead and try this out for the first time. So anyway, once again, thank you for joining me. Thanks for letting me into your home, and I appreciate it. I look forward to hearing your comments on this, that you made it. Let me know how it comes out, good, bad. If you have any problems, let me know. We'll see if we can get them straightened out for you. In the meantime, take care. God bless. Remember, give me a thumbs up, and even better, subscribe and have any of your friends subscribe. And remember, cooking that should always, always be fun. We'll see you next episode. Bye for now.